So why read? Perhaps this question is embarrassingly obvious. You never hear anyone take a stance that reading is horrible and that people shouldn't do it. So let's take a few minutes to explore why everyone thinks reading is so vitally important. Engaged reading is immediately satisfying. We look at this kid and we think, yeah, he's really enjoying that story. An engaged reader gets lost in the story. They no longer see words and sentences on the page. Instead, they see characters and action, like watching a movie unfold in their heads. There are some long-term benefits of engaged reading, and they're numerous and they're often cited in the research literature. First, we learn to read better. Our speed and word recognition improve. Our vocabulary expands. We are better able to comprehend what we are reading, and our verbal fluency expands. And then, although we don't like to focus on tests, there is evidence that engaged reading results in higher test scores across all subject areas. And then, a study by Bruner in 1996 revealed that people who engage in reading on a regular basis better understand human nature and in turn are more likely to make decisions that benefit all. Engaged reading also exposes us to a wealth of other cultures and ways of thinking. People who engage in reading are more likely to understand those around them who are different than themselves. They are willing to ask questions and explore issues of diversity. And finally, engaged reading can help you live longer. According to a quote from Jim Trelease in 2006, one can arguably state, reading is the single most important social factor in American life today. Here's a formula to support that. It sounds simplistic, but all its parts can be documented. And while not 100% universal, it holds true far more often than not. 1. The more you read, the more you know. 2. The more you know, the smarter you grow. 3. The smarter you are, the longer you stay in school. 4. The longer you stay in school, the more diplomas you earn, and the longer you are employed. Thus, the more money you earn in a lifetime. 5. The more diplomas you earn, the higher your children's grades will be in school. 6. The more diplomas you earn, the longer you live. In contrast, an unengaged reader has to work hard and is usually reading because it is required. This could be considered classroom reading. We don't read to get lost in the story. We read in order to find information, learn vocabulary, identify grammatical structure, and a myriad of other skills. Somewhere along the way, assigned reading must make the switch to engaged personal reading. If not, the reading will never be able to influence or affect the reader. There has to be a point where reading for someone else becomes reading for yourself, and engagement makes a switch so that the reader is able to both glean information from the work and also experience it. Teacher expectations and reading behavior go hand in hand. As much as we might hate to admit it, our expectations as teachers can play an unintended role in whether students are engaged or unengaged readers. Teachers who approach a book as an experience to be immersed in and who encourage students to make their own discoveries while reading contribute to creating engaged, lifelong reading habits. On the other hand, teachers whose focus is on the peripherals of text, character analysis, vocabulary work, and other technical aspects of reading make students reading as a means to an end, not something to enjoy. Teacher expectations can even change how a reader responds to a book. What begins as excitement over a story fades into disillusionment when they are tested over mundane facts and asked to focus on unimportant details. This is not to say that teaching the peripherals and mechanics of literature is wrong. Instead, we must work to assure that students are able to transition from assigned reading to personal reading before we dig into the minutiae. My mother rarely picked up a book. My 16-year-old son does not read outside of school. And you probably know people like this too. One statistic that I read cites that 1/3 of high school graduates never read another book for the rest of their lives. Nor do 42% of college graduates. And according to the U.S. Census Bureau in 2007, 80% of U.S. families never bought or read a book. This begs the question, why not? With all the research about the benefits of reading, why do people choose not to read? Of course, there are many possibilities, but one very obvious is that they never figured out how to read for themselves. Instead, all the reading they did was for others, to get a grade, pass a class, and earn a diploma. They read because someone else expected them to. They never felt the joy of experiencing a story. So why do we read? We read for personal and immediate reward. We read what interests us, and we read to discover new interests. We read to answer questions, and we read to find new questions to ask. We read to escape, and we escape to read. We reward ourselves with worlds of fantasy and great expectations, all the while making ourselves better readers and human beings automatically. Reading can defy all our expectations, just as it did for Walter Matthau. So in the end, as school librarians, we must find ways to help students and patrons become personal, engaged readers. We must be willing to make stories come to life so that they'll want to visit us again and again and again.